how to pick a story angle that will get you featured. This is probably the number one question we get asked, hands down. How do I pick a story angle that will get me featured as a business owner? And that's totally fair because the media doesn't work as simple as we think, where we might think we can just say, like, hi, I'm awesome, please feature me, right? It doesn't work that way. We need to come in with something that is newsworthy, trendy, or deeply relevant, or deeply, I like to say, relatable, right? So if we're coming to the media with something that is newsworthy, trending, and relatable, and we can actually bring in our perspective as maybe a service provider, or bring in something that can help support that as a product, we then are positioning ourselves to be perfect for a story angle that will get us featured. So luckily, there are two routes that I personally like to take with our clients that we like to teach and share. And it's super simple. If you use this strategy, you will absolutely set yourself up for success and getting featured when you approach the media. So, route number one is approaching the media with seasons, trend based content, or timely content. This is kind of like what is happening right now in the world or culturally that anyone can kind of relate to. And when we think about the media, they really respond to what can be relatable for the masses because they are on their side looking for how can I get the most readers? How can I get the most clicks, right? And so we need to position ourselves in that way. So let's just think about some of the trends that are happening right now. And I'm going to give some examples with different businesses and different categories so that you can maybe kind of jog your mind or think about like, okay, how can I do the same for my business? So right now, and this is 2025 in the summer, so trends may change, but I think these are great examples. So right now, beef tallow skincare is very, very trendy, right? And so if I were a skincare brand, how do I come in and kind of be relatable? And maybe we don't even have beef tallow products, but how do I come in and be relatable to this conversation? So maybe we think about what are the benefits of beef tallow, right? Maybe it makes our skin really clear, really dewy. And so maybe you have a product that is, that creates the same results, but isn't beef tallow. So maybe you say something like that beef tallow glow for the girlies that don't want to put beef on their skin or are vegan or something like that, right? And so we're able to then, I guess, like hitch onto a trend that is happening so that they know that SEO based, like if they're able to write a story that mentions beef tallow, it's trending, right? It's SEO, it's newsworthy. They'll be able to also on their end get that story approved, get it out to the media. And so it's kind of a win-win situation on both sides. Another idea that I was thinking about for the summer, and I have a skincare brand right now, so this is super relevant for me because not only do we teach founders at Visibility on Purpose how to get themselves featured in the media, but I also do have some clients. I've been a publicist for over 10 years. And so I definitely know what I'm talking about when it comes to this realm. Okay, so backtracking. Another one is bare summer skin, right? We're in the summertime. We don't want to wear a lot of makeup. Maybe we want that minimalist beauty glow. And so maybe you have some products that are lighter that can, where you can share like, hey, if you don't want to pack on a bunch of makeup this summer and you really want to embrace that bare skin glow, these are the perfect products that you can use for your skin, right? Now I'm going to go in another direction and use tech because tech is super relevant right now. AI is super relevant. Probably one of the biggest things I've been seeing on my personal social media or in the news is using AI as your therapist. I actually do have personal clients as I have two AI strategists. And so things that we've been coming in with is, okay, everybody's been using AI as their therapist, but what are other ways you can use ChatGPT to level up your life? This has been a pitch angle that has been getting a lot of fantastic responses. And what I mean by pitch angle is essentially the email that you use to reach out to the media. Now that we're getting some of the ideas down of like, okay, I understand how my business can be relatable to this trend. Now we need to come up with a way to position it to reach out to the media. Now, what we don't want to do is we don't want to reach out to the media and start our emails with, hi, I'm amazing. Here's all my credentials, blah, 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 blah. And then you get to the pitch angle or the big idea right at the end. We don't want to do that. We want to lead with that and introduce ourselves afterwards. So, what I always like to do in any pitch angle is I like to start with a hook. Sometimes I start with a question. If we're going to use the beef tallow example, maybe I'll start with, are you somebody that really wants that beef tallow, dewy skin, but without the beef? Like maybe something, I don't know, something as simple as that. Now, this is me on the fly, so just kind of like bear with me here. But do you see how that's kind of a hook where if somebody wants maybe that dewy skin, but they don't want the beef on their skin, they might read that intro and say, hey, that's me. That's relatable. I want to read more. So we like to start with the hook. Another example, we can use the AI example, might start with everyone's been talking about how to use AI as their therapist, but what if we could use it to, dare I say, manifest your best life? I'm excited to introduce X, Y, and Z. See how we're starting with that hook, with that big idea that's going to grab them in and or like, yeah, captivate their attention. And then they get to learn about you and your expertise. And we want to, of course, expand a little bit more on why you are the best person or why, like, to talk about this conversation or why maybe your skincare is the best to, go up against the beef tallow, right, of the world. And so this is a great way to approach the media that's going to be newsworthy and it will absolutely get you featured, which is our goal. Now, route number two is my favorite kind because this is evergreen and we can use this any time of the year, forever, right? This is where you get to think about your differentiators, your expertise, what makes you so unique, and you're going to naturally use that as that relatability piece to get featured. So, for example, right now, again, I'm going to use personal examples because these are the best kinds and I know that they work. And so I can use them for you. For example, right now I am working with a connection card game. Essentially, the card game is supposed to transition small talk to meaningful conversations. Okay. Now, when I think about these cards and what makes them so special or so unique is I'm thinking about even my own, you can use yourself. Like I think about in my own personal life, like why would this card game be so important to me? Well, for me personally, I am in my 30s right now. I have a lot of friendships that are in different stages of our lives, right? So I have some friends that have kids, they're married. I have some friends that are single and traveling the world. I myself have moved out of my hometown. I live somewhere else with my fiance. There's just like so many things happening. And so for me, when I think about using this card game, I think about how I can rebuild my friendships. And then I thought to myself, well, hey, that's a really relatable and cool story angle. I ended up speaking to a writer at Pop Sugar that said that friendship angles are doing really well on their publications. So that got me thinking, oh, well, this is a fantastic pitch angle. So one of the pitch angles that we used that did really well was how to rebuild old friendships with the right questions. How to rebuild old friendships with the right questions. So we're coming in talking about how we can utilize this card game to solve a problem that is happening. And I want to say at the trendy publications, most writers are actually between the ages of 20 and 30. And so they're going to deeply resonate with this pitch angle. This is going to be relatable. So it's something that they most likely will want to write about. So these are evergreen. It's how do I take my product? How do I take my expertise and make them extremely relatable for others? Now I'll use one more example. I have a coach client. She is a life coach. She has an incredible background. She has, a master's in psychology. She has her coaching certification from Columbia University, one of the top universities, Ivy League, right, in the United States. And so one of her things is she likes to talk about a new way to live as a woman that not only is able to stay home with their kids, or maybe not stay home, but like build a life with their kids, but also can run a successful business, And it's not going to look the way that everyone says. It might not look the, rigid way of we're going to work, we're getting a job, we're doing all the things. And we're going to do the daycare. And it also might not work like the trad wife style where everyone's like, okay, we're actually just going to stay home and like be a housewife. Like, no, there's a line in between and it doesn't need to have all of these rigid rules. And really what it comes down to is your own values and how to build a life from there. And so with her, that is super, super relevant and relatable. It's a great story angle to reach out to podcasters with, which is another area that we love our clients to go into, especially service-based providers or service-based business owners. Podcasts are a fantastic media outlet to capitalize on. And so by approaching niches, different niche communities and different podcasts with this type of story angle, we were able to get a ton of interviews. And I'm talking like top tier podcasts, right? And so going back to those two routes for how to pick the perfect story angle. Number one, we want to relate to seasons, we want to relate to trends, that sort of thing, times of the year. Or number two, create an evergreen pitch that really just boils down to the company's mission, right? Positioning, that sort of thing. Now, what not to do, I'm going to add these in because we always want to know what are the, immediate red flags when writers read this. You don't want to start with, I just launched a course. You don't want to start with, I have an event coming up. These types of things are not really that relevant. I mean, of course they are relevant and sometimes they can be for like, especially events for like local publications. But again, you want to start with, another one is like, starting with, I just launched a book. Like, if you're not Oprah, nobody cares, right? So you want to start with what is inside the book, what is inside the course, what's the meat and potatoes. So for example, Bridget and I at Visibility on Purpose, we have a course that's a DIY PR course. It's where we teach business owners how to pitch themselves to the media, right? I'm never going to start with, let me tell you about my course. It's an infomercial. Nobody wants to listen to it, right? But what I am going to start with is how to find the perfect story angle to pitch to the media. And then if you want to go deeper, you can buy my course, right? And so it will be linked below, by the way. But do you see what I mean? Where even you as a viewer, if I were to start with that, you probably wouldn't have continued to watch this video because it has no value in it for me. And so we want to start with the value. So we're going to recap one more time. There's two ways you can do it. You can go with the timely one, seasonal, the trends, or number two, you can go with your evergreen version. If you have any questions, please feel free to post a comment below. We love engaging with you. We love answering your questions. We know that PR sometimes can be a little bit scary or new territory for some business owners, but we are firm believers that everybody should be able to have access to the media like these big companies that are able to, invest in maybe like some of the big PR firms. Like we don't think, number one, as a publicist, I know it's not that hard to learn the strategy. It's more about time. And number two, we know that there's enough seats at the table when it comes to getting yourself featured. Please like, subscribe, and comment as per usual, and we'll see you next time.